The next revision task, or the next thing that you need to know once you understand how to draw these two different circuits, so for a non-inverting amplifier and for an inverting amplifier, is you need to know about the specific equations that we can use with these amplifiers. Now, obviously, when you're making a circuit, you want to get a certain gain. That's probably what you want. You think you've got an input here coming in, and you know what's coming in here. It might be an input from a microphone or something, and you know that you want to power a loudspeaker, and you know how loud you want it to be, and you want to make sure that you've got the right gain here to take a small signal and make it into a loud enough signal. The way that you adjust the circuit is by changing these two resistors. So this RF is the feedback resistor, and then on a non-inverting amplifier you have something called an R1, and on an inverting amplifier you have an input resistor, so Rin, but you always have a feedback resistor on there. So in an exam or practical situation, you are likely to want to be able to work out what the resistors are, and you need to be able to remember the two different equations. So for a non-inverting amplifier, it's this one, the voltage gain equals 1 plus RF over R1. For an inverting amplifier, it's this one, voltage gain equals minus RF over Rin. Now, rather than having to remember that, the exam board give you the equations at the start of your exam, which is fair enough, because if you were doing this practically, you'd just look them up online. And so at the beginning of your exam, the exam board will give you a page like this with different equations on it. So you can see down here that they put G equals V out over V in, so that's gain equals V out over V in. And then they've got two other equations here for gain. Now the exam board will give you these equations, but they won't tell you what they're for. So when you're working something out in an exam, you need to know that G equals gain, which is fairly obvious, but then you're going to have to decide which one of these equations is for an inverting amplifier and which one is for a non-inverting amplifier. Now, there's a fairly easy way to remember this. So, remember, an inverting amplifier changes positive to negative, and a non-inverting amplifier keeps positive as positive. So if I look here, G equals 1 plus RF over R1, that's going to give me a positive output. So whatever I put in here, I'm going to get a positive output. That must be a non-inverting amplifier. So this equation here, I know must be for a non-inverting amplifier. Without having to remember it, I can kind of work that out. This equation here, the gain equals minus RF over Rin. So it's inverting the signal. Whatever's positive here is negative on this side. That means that it's inverting the output compared to the input. So it's doing an inversion here. So this must be an inverting amplifier. Now this is one of the things that you have to know for your exam. You have to know how to use this equation, and you have to know how to use this equation, and you have to know which one to use for each different amplifier.